Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's start. A silver moon hung above, its lunar essence interweaving as it scattered downwards like a faint layer of smoke onto the crystalline lake, making this place look hazy and misty. She stood under the peaceful moonlit night above the surface of the lake. Her battle clothes shone, and the sleeves of her clothes fluttered about, making her look like an exceptional fairy. Her eyes were black like gemstones, carrying a spiritual radiance. The scene was peaceful, extremely quiet and beautiful. Only, Shahao wasn't in the mood to appreciate it. He was enduring the most painful torment and might die at any time. A friend is still a friend in the end. Even though there were some misunderstandings between us, everything was still settled in the end. Since we are both from the lower realms, we should be helping each other out, Shahao said with a straight face. Of course, even if he was showing any other expressions, it wouldn't be visible, because his flesh was incomparably tattered. His primordial spirit was split up into divine light that produced cauldrons, bells, pagodas, swords, and other things. They transformed into many holy objects, and it was precisely because of this that he was able to stop the attacks, not dying on the spot. This state of equilibrium was extremely weak. Once it was destroyed, his primordial spirit might turn into an expanse of brilliant multicolored smoke and thus scatter into ashes. You've previously offended me like that, imprisoning me. Today, you aren't asking for forgiveness, and instead asking me to help you. The corners of Yu Chan's lips tilted upwards in mockery, but also aloof like clouds in the sky. Before dying, I let you go without any hesitation, wishing you well in every way. Isn't that enough to prove everything? Shahao continued his argument. This was the reality. Before he fell, he had previously told all of his loved ones and close friends that should he die, Yu Chan should be let go, and that they shouldn't trouble her. The clear moon hung high in the sky, scattering down its hazy silver brilliance. Yu Chan's style was unmatched. She sank into a state of silence. Her fine jade-like snow-white skin flickered with radiance. She didn't move for a long time. How did you get in? Only after a long time had passed did she ask, by holding a black metal tile. Shahao didn't hide anything. He felt that things were a bit interesting, as the other party didn't expose killing intent from the start. The one that passed the trial of heaven and ascended the heavenly staircase was you. Yu Chan's eyelashes were extremely long. Her red lips were brilliant. Even though she was quiet and outstanding, there was still a type of temptation that naturally exuded from her body. That day, she didn't immediately arrive at the scene, so she wasn't able to see Shahao's figure clearly. Yes. Shahao replied. At that moment, his divine senses turned into thousands of little cauldrons. They moved together, and bell sounds rose and fell. In addition, those small cauldrons, pagodas, swords, and others were also like this, shining brilliantly. The word wife made Yu Chan's brows jump. The imprint within her brows appeared, and multicolored radiance surged. She felt like this fella was truly incurable. His arrogance and pushiness made one feel a sense of powerlessness. Yu Chan quickly jerked her hand away, because she knew that her aura alone definitely couldn't subdue the other person, unable to leave him feeling ashamed, only adding more fuel to the flames. However, Shahao grabbed her firmly without being willing to let go. Her eyes flickered with divine multicolored light as he stared at her. I didn't save you so you can disrespect me, Yu Chan said quietly, not panicking and instead like a water ripple. There was no anger to be seen. How could I dare? I am just proving my words with action. Shahao had a sincere look on his face, grabbing her hand without letting go. Yu Chan jerked her hand again, but in the end, she couldn't move it away at all. Her entire jade-like arm shone, becoming snow-white and resplendent, but under Shahao's strength, she found it difficult to struggle free, even though there are misunderstandings between us. But since you saved me today, I've seen your true intentions of being unable of abandoning me. It was clear that Shahao's skin became another inch thicker, as he spoke without minding her words. However, he quickly became discontent, saying, Yu Chan, what are you trying to tell me? Even though I am showing you such emotions, you are actually breaking out with goosebumps. It truly hurts my heart. Stop being so sickening. Yu Chan no longer concealed her expression. She knew that in order to deal with this shameless fellow, she definitely couldn't show him any good expressions. Unfortunately, even though her bone text swelled about, she was still unable to shake off Shahao. It was because the mysterious force Xiahao cultivated after ingesting the golden body fruit was used, neutralized all of the symbols. Wife, did you forget our affections of the past? Xiahao asked serious. When she heard this way of address, Yu Chan wanted to give him a beating. She truly felt that this fella was too much of a scoundrel, giving her quite a headache. Sometimes, I really feel like I can't recognize you, she said softly. Let's just forget about our past misunderstandings then. Yu Chan said. Her body was like a divine lotus, sparkling and flowing with otherworldly light. Since the misunderstandings have been unmasked, we naturally have to celebrate. Xiahao smiled. He opened his arms up to directly embrace her. The imprint on her forehead shone again. It trembled slightly and became extremely brilliant, releasing a blinding radiance. Stop. What are you trying to do? Xiahao quickly stopped himself. Yu Chan glared at him and softly said, Your serious self has more character than your mischievous self, and better as well. Then I will watch myself better. In the future, my heroic aura will be matchless. Xiahao boasted shamelessly, and then he even directly expressed it, directly grabbing her waist and walking outwards. You scoundrel. Yu Chan's couldn't remain calm anymore, falling from the fairy high up down into the world of mortals. She was truly humiliated and angry. Nothing she did brought any results. Aren't I earnestly expressing myself? Xiahao said. Then, he stopped, saying, we even carried out a wedding ceremony. Could it be that you still want to marry someone else? Enough already. Let's discuss a few true matters. Yu Chan said, stopping her footsteps. Even though Xiao's skin was thick, he still wasn't a truly despicable person who was impossible to deal with. When he heard this, he loosened his hand and walked next to her. What exactly did you end up doing after coming into the higher realms? Yu Chan asked. Xiahao didn't try to hide things, talking about everything he could talk about. Yu Chan was shocked. He was Huang. She was just too shocked, being speechless for an extremely long time. I presume that soon after, your identity will still be ultimately leaked. I do not believe the Celestial clan will keep it a secret for too long, she said softly. Yu Chan was quite honest as well, talking about her own circumstances. She was hiding from her main body. From how things looked right now, she wasn't the main body's opponent. She was hiding from a fate of destruction. With me here, this isn't a problem. I'll capture her in the future. Xiahao said, his voice firm and resolute. You cannot look down on her. Yu Chan shook her head. Then, she pointed at the place between her brows. Once her divine senses completely undergo rebirth and revive, she will be difficult to defeat. Xiahao wanted to understand more about it, but Yu Chan only said that this was an innate ability. The two chatted for a long time. They learned about each other's experiences in the higher realms. Towards this, Xiahao was quite interested. He inquired about this, but unfortunately, Yu Chan only knew bits and pieces. The two then chatted for another while. When they mentioned the 3,000 provinces great battle, as well as various trump cards, Yu Chan felt rather regretful. She still hadn't discovered the flame she wanted. What kind of flame do you want to use to become a deity, to ignite the self? Xiahao asked. I draw from a lunar force, resonating with the moon. I wish to find a divine flame related to it, Yu Chan said. Xiahao shook his head and said, that's too bad then. Otherwise, I know a divine flame in Fire Province's grasslands that is blue-green like the sky, extremely mysterious and powerful. I could only run away when I encountered it. What did you say? Yu Chan was shocked. Then, she widened her eyes as she looked at him, hurriedly asking about it. Her current appearance conflicted a bit with her normally otherworldly temperament. Xiahao briefly described it, talking about the various characteristics of the blue-green flame, green lunar flame. Yu Chan was shocked as she spoke these three words. Are you sure? Xiahao was shocked. If your descriptions were not inaccurate, then that should be it. The blue-green like sky is actually an enormous moon that covers the sky. Yu Chan said. Xiahao was shocked. After carefully thinking about it, it really might be the case. He never thought that something he randomly brought up would be what Yu Chan needed the most, a rare and precious flame. Is it really special, that valuable? Xiahao asked. Yu Chan then said, those are just speculations and not truly proven. There were just a few people who found some clues to the truth while unearthing some immortal ancient ruins. Xiahao was stupefied. What kind of background did these rare precious flames have? For example, the Great Scarlet Sky Flame was rumored to very well have been left behind by the Great Scarlet Sky Lord after he fell. Yu Chan said. Xiao's mind was greatly shaken. Their origins were that great. Meanwhile, the green lunar flame was rumored to have been left behind by a goddess named Qingyu. Her status was equivalent to Scarlet Sky Lord. Yu Chan explained a step further. These words left Shahao greatly shocked. There were actually such terrifying secrets. Only, there was no way to truly prove this. They were deduced from clues excavated from immortal ancient secret realm, and a lot of it were just speculations. After Scarlet Sky Lord's fall, the flame he left behind was not given the name Immortal Flame. What is the deal with the chaotic flame and other flames that have the reputation of being immortal flames then? Shahao asked. Immortal flames, chaotic flames are not left by true immortals after their death. They are extremely mysterious, and it is difficult to say where they came from. Yu Chan said. Shahao nodded. Eventually, both him and Yu Chan left this place. They decided to collect the green lunar flame together in a few days. Will you be able to handle it? Shahao felt like it was simply impossible to subdue. Let go. Yu Chan's cheeks flushed with color. This fella really was too improper. I know who you are. You are that bastard who was doing business at the courtyard entrance. Someone cried out, what? It's that person from the shoddy monastery. He actually ran here to harass my goddess academy's ranked beauty. Unforgivable. These people were furious. It was clear that they also knew how formidable he was. They called people over for assistance. I'll come looking for you in a few days. Shahao said to Yu Chan. Then, while holding the black metal tile, he turned into a streak of light, disappearing from this place. Goddess Academy was in chaos. Even though the night was already deep, there were still great waves being stirred up. Quite a few students hurried over. This really is beyond tolerable. That notorious inheritance really is going to make a return. Moreover, he dares to lust after junior sister Qingyi. The group of youngsters were extremely riled up. They truly wanted to immediately leave to challenge Supreme Being Dao right. Shahao didn't concern himself with all of this. He left Yu Chan to grind her teeth alone. Inside the shoddy mountain gate, Qi Daolin was sitting there. Dao Master, I want to ask you about something. Do you know anything about 9 dragon skeletons and a bronze coffin? When he returned, Shahao's head was filled with thoughts about divine flames. He was going to help Yu Chan in a few days to acquire the green lunar flame, while he himself was even less willing to give up the mysterious precious flame in that copper coffin. When these words were spoken, Qi Daolin stood up with a ting sound, unable to stay calm. Qi Daolin's golden robes fluttered with sounds. His expression became serious, and within his eyes, there were the sun, moon and stars fading in and out of existence. Strands of auspicious energy curled about above his head. You do know? He asked seriously. Shahao's mind jumped. The 9 dragons and bronze coffin actually produced such a huge reaction with this old man. He really wanted to know, and perhaps now, he could understand some of their secrets. I heard some people discussing it in Goddess Academy. Shahao didn't immediately reveal the truth, because the other party had a really bad reputation, doing all types of disgraceful things. He was scared that he might be tricked again. Who mentioned it? Qi Daolin asked. The 3000 province great battle is drawing near, and a few geniuses in Goddess Academy were discussing various supreme treasures. Someone talking about this, saying that it was terrifying to the extreme. Shahao said, and then he asked for guidance again. Qi Daolin looked at him. He didn't say anything for a long time. Dao Master, what's wrong? Please help me dispel my doubts. Great waves were stirring within Shahao's heart, but his face remained calm. Forget it. Pointless even if its whereabouts are known. No one can open it, only burying more people within. Qi Daolin released a long and drawn-out sigh as if he relieved himself of a great pressure, not acting as serious as before. What kind of secrets does it have exactly? Shahao asked. It is called 3-world coffin, Qi Daolin said. Shahao was immediately shaken up. This was the first time he heard of this name, hearing about it when he first entered the higher realms. He even more so almost got caught up in its disturbance. Immortal Place inheritor, Zhen Jiyu, with, and a few other exceptional talents were looking for a silver-haired woman, leading to her being seriously injured. There were rumors that if it wasn't related to the Supreme Hall, then it was the 3-world coffin. At that time, Shahao had only heard about it while passing by. The 3-world coffin was a supreme treasure of the higher realms. My sect only has a single person each generation, even though I did not truly pay my respects and enter. When Qi Daolin spoke up to hear, he felt extremely emotional, and there was melancholy as well. Shahao didn't interrupt him. Even though he already mostly guessed what kind of inheritance it was, he didn't say anything. The 9 dragons and bronze coffin has a bit of connection with my martial sect. Qi Daolin brought up that inheritance, saying that the inheritance's unmatched elder had previously searched for this coffin for many years. It was also precisely because of that reason that this highest elder had neglected many other things, not leaving behind a powerful inheritor, causing the inheritance to fall. What did that elder previously deduce? Shahao asked. He had confirmed that the copper coffin cannot be opened, or else even those at the very peak might fall. Qi Daolin's expression was serious, and there was a trace of regret as well. In the past, that elder had searched for endless years, and then he finally found it. When he opened the ancient coffin, a few strange events happened that caused his Dao foundation to be seriously injured. Following that, he faced the pursuit of great enemies. Immortal Palace's unmatched expert, that had been asleep since the ancient times revived, and together with several others, they surrounded him to wipe him out. In the end, he still fell. Shahao decided that he would talk about it in a few days. He would wait for the elder to calm down to avoid something unexpected from happening. Dao Master, do you know any methods of subduing rare divine flames? Shahao wanted to ask for guidance on this problem. It was because it was extremely important. He needed an answer to this issue urgently. Oh. You discovered a precious flame, with which you want to ignite your body into divinity. Qi Daolin's curiosity was piqued. With the battle of 3,000 provinces near, I'm just preparing a bit ahead of time. Shahao said. He felt a rather great headache. He saw two flames, yet he was at his wits' end, unable to subdue them. Even though Yu Chan said that there was a method that she would tell him when the time came, he still felt like it wasn't too dependable. As my supreme being Dao Right's inheritor, this time, if you cannot rise up in the battle of 3,000 provinces, I will directly kick you out. Qi Daolin narrowed his eyes and said, why do you have to do such a thing? Shahao complained. This was simply more terrifying than an evil cult, having his Dao destroyed at every turn, not for a mistake, but rather because of some freakish requirement being too hard to obtain. If you are lower than the top 10 places, then don't return and just end your own life. Qi Daolin said, didn't you want me to be number one? Shahao was stunned. Didn't this fella always have a high standard? Why did it seem a bit more lenient this time? The 3,000 provinces have endless heroes and heavenly talents. Even exceptional talents will come out in batches. Entering the top 10 is easier said than done, especially this time. Qi Daolin sighed. It was clear that he knew a few matters, understanding quite a few secrets. Even that fella from Immortal Palace, the one that was rumored to have suppressed the younger generation until they couldn't breathe, looking down on all others his age, is someone who I will definitely suppress. Yet you still don't think that I will be in the top few. Or perhaps to be the first. Shahao never lacked confidence. Of course, in the eyes of many, it looked more like he loved to shoot his mouth. I already said that if you want to be someone of my supreme being Dao Right, you have to defeat Immortal Palace's inheritor. He is strong, but not the biggest threat. Qi Daolin said. The goal I established for you is for you to reign supreme in the future. You need to accumulate and look to the future, and not struggle with the present. The great battle this time, I do not want you to send yourself to death. Qi Daolin seriously warned. The notorious Qi Daolin, who had always had strict requirements for Shahao, wishing him to walk towards the peak, at this moment, actually lowered his attitude, leaving Shahao shocked. It was clear that the other party had good intentions, worrying that he might encounter a disaster, and that was why he seriously explained and spoke in detail. Is it because of those young creatures from snow-covered hidden inheritances? Shahao asked. He had heard that there were ancient inheritances that had exceptional heavenly talents who could dominate all of their peers, rarely meeting opponents. Correct, but also incorrect. Qi Daolin shook his head. He told him that this was a subject best avoided. If it was just the young creatures that were from hidden inheritances, then that would be that, still manageable. Immortal Palace inheritor would be enough to rank in the first group, and entering the top 10 wouldn't be a problem. What was terrifying was that there were a few other secrets. The great battle of 3,000 provinces will be held once every tens of thousands of years. It has continued from the ancient times until now. The main reason is because there is too much natural luck within. Whoever obtains certain things will become undying and tower above all others at the extreme peak for tens of thousands of years to come. Qi Daolin sighed and said. Shahao quietly listened without interrupting. Do you think the extremely powerful creatures are from those snow-covered hidden inheritances? I am saying that it's something else. Qi Daolin's eyes shone, their radiance sharp like lightning. Shahao didn't understand. What was the difference? The snow-covered inheritances I am talking about are those that have been sealed under icebergs since ancient times, those buried under snow caves. Those great icy and snow inheritances have suppressed a few young supreme beings that you cannot fathom, those that are enough to overlook the past and future. What? Shahao finally couldn't hold back and released a cry of alarm. Are you serious? A group of number ones in history. This time, Shahao's expression became serious. He felt a tremendous pressure. The upcoming great battle will definitely be incredibly difficult. There was going to be a great bloody road to march through. Rumor has it that there is someone who has participated 10 times, and he has the power to be number one both past and present. Qi Daolin spoke again. There was someone that appeared in different eras, participating 10 times, becoming number one each time, first under heaven. When Shahao heard this, he felt his fine hairs stand up one after another. His body became cold. Was he even going to make it out of this alive? There was a group of freaks that were going to appear. What is it? Qi Daolin asked. He sat on a large bluestone boulder, his Dao robes fluttering about. There was an immortal aura to his appearance. Shahao said, there is a premise for the 3000 province great confrontation, and that is that the participants cannot exceed the supreme expert realm. It is something inviolable, and it is also because of this that many powerful creatures suppress themselves, waiting to break through after entering that immortal earth. There was a divine gate that only allowed those at the supreme expert realm to enter, and once one entered, there wouldn't be any more restrictions. Even if they broke into the heavenly deity realm afterwards, it could only be said that it was your own natural luck. Qi Daolin nodded and said, you are correct. Since that is the case, those freaks that participated in more than one great confrontation, and obtained the first rank, how did they do it? They have to break through into the divine flame realm, or else how can they rule the world and look down on the higher realm's 3000 provinces? Shahao raised this issue. Once they became a divine flame realm expert, how were they supposed to enter in this world? They clearly didn't meet the qualifications. As for those that participated in several great decisive battles, that was even more unlikely. As for the 10-time participant the old man spoke about, there was no way that could happen. Don't tell me that they were frozen stupid, causing their strength to regress, Shahao said. At the same time, his mind shook, finally understanding. Qi Daolin became speechless, and then he sighed. When you are suppressed and close to dying, you wouldn't be so optimistic and self-confident. You will discover just how terrifying those people are. He paused and then he said, those people all had great imposing bearing. After participating and coming back, they directly destroyed their divine flame realm, falling down and then re-strengthening themselves. Truly a group of freaks. Shahao knew that it wasn't that simple. So this really was how it was after all. These people were too vicious, all of them daring to do this. It was rumored that once one became a deity, they couldn't ruin their own cultivation, because it was too dangerous. Falling out of the divine Dao foundation was life-threatening. Normal people definitely couldn't test it. Meanwhile, these people could rebuild their cultivations, all for the sake of the battlefield's conditions. There are some that rebuilt their cultivations several times. Can you imagine how terrifying their divine Dao foundation is? It is continuously changing, Qi Daolin sighed and said. Even he felt that it was terrifying and just too shocking. Shahao frowned. The great battle was extremely dangerous, and it would definitely be incomparably difficult. He had to carve out a path through blood. It is the precious flames that have been left behind since the immortal ancient era, such as the heaven flame, 10,000 evil flame, and others. They are the greatest flames in the world, said Qi Daolin, pointing out that only these flames could be communicated with through the sacrificial method, establishing a connection. He told Shahao that the inheritances that could grasp these types of ancient flames were all extremely old, all the unrivaled great sects. Normally, no one could learn about them as they kept this information secret. After digesting this information, he began to earnestly ask for guidance. He asked Qi Daolin if those ancient flames truly were formed after those true immortals fell. There is this type of saying, but there is a lack of evidence. Qi Daolin nodded. In addition, he had some opinions of his own on this matter. He believed that it should be the ultimate substance left behind after a true immortal died, and that was why it could be considered a type of flame. Igniting oneself with them would establish the most powerful Great Dao foundation. In addition, Qi Daolin believed that people had done this since the ancient times, to the extent where it was even more thorough than in the present age. From the true meaning he deduced from the ancient sacrificial language, the people back then directly planted the flame left behind by the true immortals into their body and stirred it on with secret techniques to strengthen their bodies, not one's own, still not one's own in the end. After hearing this, Shahao frowned and said, "What kind of precious flame did you discover?" Qi Daolin asked. "Green lunar flame." Qi Daolin was shaken, truly moved. It was because this was a well-known ancient flame, one of the most powerful flame sources. It was just too well known, from the clues that were obtained after some ruins were excavated. It should be what goddess Qingyu left behind after she fell. This was an extremely well-known true immortal during the immortal ancient era. When Shahao heard this, he was now sure that the green lunar flame was formidable. Shahao felt inwardly grateful, but he also felt that this Tao Lord was extremely domineering. No wonder his bad reputation was so widespread. After he obtained clues about the two academies' exchange, he actually dared to go fight over it. Since you have it, then I won't get myself involved. Acquiring it yourself is more meaningful. Qi Daolin said. Shahao opened his mouth, but he didn't say that this was to help Yu Chan acquire the flame. He didn't wish for Qi Daolin to clash with the two academies and take risks over the Great Scarlet Sky Flame. The Great Scarlet Sky Flame was formed after a sect master fell. Its wonderful uses are endless. Qi Daolin felt rather regretful that he couldn't take action. Then, Qi Daolin had Shahao earnestly make preparation. He didn't have to carry the great mountain to refine his flesh, bone, text, and spirit, temporarily allowing him a break from cultivating the 8th-9th heaven art. Focusing on acquiring the ancient flame was more important. For the following few days, Shahao continuously cultivated in isolation, consolidating the fire techniques Qi Daolin passed down onto him, as well as studying the sacrificial language that had existed endless years ago. He chose a quiet place to carefully study everything. He also avoided all noisy and troublesome places, because there were many young experts that appeared in Supreme Being Dao Right's shoddy monastery gate. 5 days later, Shahao came out and headed for Goddess Academy to look of Yu Chan. They were going to move out together to acquire the green lunar flame. He was quite hopeful, because this was the first test. If he succeeded, he could still go to the bronze coffin to collect the even more mysterious flame source. Goddess Academy, a place where divine mountains and an enormous city were interconnected. Waterfalls cascaded from the mountains above, and silver radiance surged like dragons. There were ancient trees that towered into the heavens, taking root on the cliffs. As for the city district, the buildings were imposing, its streets vast. It was extremely magnificent. Why does that person look so familiar? One individual stopped moving and looked towards a rear figure walking into the distance, revealing a look of contemplation. You also feel like you are seeing someone you know. Another person revealed a look of shock. Then, he cried out in alarm, "Damn it, it's him," he came back. This place became chaotic. A few people recognized that Shahao was the one doing business outside the academy entrance, threatening to be able to bully low-grade juniors, or beat up high-grade seniors. This group of people felt like the roots of their teeth became itchy, because they had all already guessed that he came from that shoddy mountain gate, that notorious inheritance. He was just like his Dao master. This was especially the case when Lu Ming, senior brother Liu, and a group of others went to the Supreme Being Dao Right to visit historical remains. They were dealt with so miserably. When news came back, it drew everyone's anger. Hurry up and chase after him. Don't let him get away. A large group of students realized the truth. With hula sounds, they all chased after him, wishing to cut Shahao off and eliminate this evil together. Unfortunately, no matter how they tried, it was all futile. The speed of the person up ahead was too fast. While weaving left and right, he disappeared into the depths of the academy with just a few steps. Soon after, someone's expression changed, because this fella's destination was clear, actually heading for the female students' residences. Was he deliberately bringing hatred onto himself, too shameless, actually daring to barge into the female residence in broad daylight? He really is an evil disciple from that inheritance. There were some who were resentful and angry, shouting out like this. There were even some people whose expressions turned strange, because they recalled the events several nights ago. Someone spread the message that the evil disciple had previously walked next to the ranked beauty, Fairy Qingyi. They seemed to have walked out from the immortal pool together. This news had only created a small commotion, because people didn't believe it. They only thought that this evil disciple's intentions were not pure, and had bad thoughts, causing the misunderstanding. Are you kidding me? He really went inside. Damn it, this fella actually barged into the female residence. Why did the formations become useless, unable to stop him? Someone cried out as they watched Shahao head for that holy land himself. Meanwhile, he was strutting about as he entered. The formations that were set down didn't shine, and the bone texts restrained themselves. Too despicable. What kind of place is he treating my Goddess Academy to be? He even dares to barge into the clear pure lands of our female students. Unforgivable, this matter cannot be let off. This definitely seemed like the last straw. The group of youth were all stirred up, and large groups of people came. They demanded an explanation from the people standing guard here, asking them why he was allowed inside. The two stood on the spiritual mountain, purple energy curling about them. The corners of their clothes fluttered about, both of them giving off a great style and aura. Of course, this was on the premise that one didn't look at Shahao's lowly smile, or else it would easily shatter this type of scene. Meanwhile, he seemed completely unaware of this. The two of them discussed how they were going to collect the green lunar flame. They walked side by side while seriously discussing this. Unknowingly when Shahao grabbed Yu Chan's open hands, and with an earnest expression, he said, "I wish you success, recreating the immortal ancient era Qing Yu's graceful bearing." Yu Chan felt a bit helpless. If it was a bystander, who would dare blaspheme against her? Her entire body was shining and exuding a holy aura. She had tried to avoid this fella's hands a long time ago, but this fella's accomplishments in the Kuan-Peng technique and earth withdrawal technique was so great that even though he didn't get his arms around her small waist, he still grabbed her jade hand. Isn't that junior sister Qingyi walking together with a man? Who is he? A few female students saw Yu Chan and Shahao walking together. The two had already rose into the air. Auspicious multicolored light surged as they went on their way. From the distance, they really were like a pair of true immortals descending into this world, moving along with the wind. From the side, he looks quite a bit like that genius who surpassed the heavenly staircase, only, his face seems a bit off. A young lady blinked her large eyes, letting her imagination run wild. At the same time, the disturbance reached this place. The enforcement troop led a group of people into the peaceful cliff to search for the evil disciple. What? Qingyi left with someone. Not good, that is the notorious evil disciple. How could she have left with him? Hurry and rescue her. After understanding the situation, many people cried out. This place was full of crime, and blood often flowed. Conflicts over ores and divine materials happened often. I heard that there is an immortal mine that shocked both past and present here with 7-colored immortal gold here. Shahao asked. Yu Chan nodded. That immortal mine was extremely strange and even more terrifying, a mine that accumulated unmatched materials like 7-colored immortal gold. However, no one could extract it. Rumor has it that since ancient times, there were many sect masters who had overlooked the world that died within it alone, and from then, few people dared to look around within it. Fengwu needs that type of supreme precious material badly, but Goddess Academy could only look through other means. Yu Chan said, then I won't go after it. However, when I do have time, I should pay those great sects divine caves a visit to collect some interest. Shahao said quietly. This is the place. Yu Chan was moved. This underground abyss was too vast, the area covering over 10,000 li comparatively speaking. This region was quite barren, because there weren't any well-known divine mines, and traces of wildlife were sparse as well. However, this also meant that they didn't have to worry about being disturbed. The two descended at the same time into the abyss depths, rushing downwards. Soon after, they reached the very bottom. Then, with Shahao leading the way, they passed through a great crack in the earth to those ruins. These are immortal ancient era's historical remains. Yu Chan was shocked. This was not a pitch-black place, because there were still symbols left over that flickered with light, making this place look hazy and somewhat mysterious. The past has become dust. How many glorious eras of prosperity have been buried under time? Yu Chan said to herself. Shahao nodded. However, now was not the time to be reminiscing. The 3,000 province great battle was approaching, so they needed to earnestly make preparations to participate in the greatest state possible. Both him and Yu Chan walked through the debris in search of that flame. Time flowed on. An hour had already passed, and unwittingly, the two individuals felt a type of softness. A hazy radiance scattered downwards. Why is the moonlight tonight so gentle? When he spoke up to this point, Shahao raised his head with shock. Meanwhile, Yu Chan was also astonished, raising her head as well. Above them was a green moon that was incomparably beautiful. It carried a faint flame like multicolored mist. The lunar essence was like water as it scattered down with unspeakable pureness. Green lunar flame. Shahao cried out. It was because this was the underground world, so how could there be a moon? This was clearly an ancient flame. Yu Chan was also stirred up, finding it difficult to remain calm. Her beautiful face was full of joy. Her large eyes were even more so filled with shocking radiance. With a trembling voice, she said, precisely it. At that moment, both of them felt a scorching heat. The moonlight in the sky scattered down, making the clothes on their bodies quickly burn, turning them into ashes. Burning hot. Gentle moonlight scattered down, turning their clothes into ashes. However, no disaster befell them, as nothing else dangerous happened. They could feel that this green moon was extremely peaceful, not releasing any terrifying auras. Yu Chan's tall and slender figure was pure white and sparkling like ivory. Her beautiful black hair scattered downwards, covering a portion of her unmatched appearance. She immediately stood above the debris, her figure immortal and beautiful, fair and radiating a soft gentle radiance. Meanwhile, on the other side, Shahao's body was not tainted by a strand of silk. His clothes were completely burned by the ancient flames, revealing his robust build. Precious splendor flickered about, and his black hair scattered down. His eyes were brilliant like stellar rivers. On the immortal ancient ruins, the two looked at each other. They weren't far from each other, so they could see everything. This sudden change happened too abruptly. When he saw Yu Chan's expression changed and was about to scream out, Shahao shouted out first, saying, "Not good, be careful." In addition, he rushed over with the fastest speed, blocking the green moonlight. He arrived in front of Yu Chan to half embrace her sparkling white body. The two were just too close to each other, and he could smell the waves of delicate fragrance of a young lady. It spread under the moonlight, pervading the air. This was a type of intoxicating fragrance. This all happened too abruptly. The sacred and serene Yu Chan found it difficult to maintain her calmness as well. Her beautiful face turned pale. She released a light cry and quickly backed up. "Don't worry." Shahao had a firm expression. He left behind an afterimage and followed Yu Chan to her side. "I will deal with it, so you can just hide by my side." "Let go." Yu Chan's sparkling white face flushed with redness. This fella was too shameful, clearly taking advantage of her and still trying to appear honest. His face was just too thick. He spoke with a deadly earnest expression, but in the end, that arm quickly moved around her soft waist in an extremely natural manner. This made Yu Chan's body go rigid, because both of them had their clothes destroyed. Her body was soft and glowing like fine jade. Being touched like this was truly uncomfortable. With a shua sound, Yu Chan left behind a beautiful afterimage, moving like a spirit. Her undulating tall and slender body quickly moved away, avoiding him. "With me here, I will definitely not let you become injured." What left Yu Chan speechless was that Shahao continued to act devoted to righteousness, displaying the Kuan Peng technique and earth withdrawal technique to their pinnacle and sticking right to her and standing right there. "Stay a bit further away from me." Yu Chan's fair face immediately blushed, carrying embarrassment and resentment as she berated with a low voice. This was just too embarrassing. They had just arrived, yet this kind of situation happened. However, what left her shocked was that Shahao's speed exceeded the past, reaching an inconceivable level. He continued to stay right beside her. Yu Chan's eyes were greatly widened. That arm was still there, continuing to wrap around her waist and not letting go. She was unable to free herself from him. If the actual Kuan Peng knew about this, it might even be startled and sigh so greatly, becoming extremely speechless. Its method was actually cultivated by an outsider to such an extreme, reaching such an unimaginable speed. "Did you learn techniques, just to show off right now?" Yu Chan was ashamed and resentful as she berated, "It is to protect you." Shahao shouted loudly, putting on a face of righteousness, "Go die." Yu Chan was going mad. She truly couldn't take it anymore. Her entire body erupted with multicolored radiance, and all types of symbols covered her body. Meanwhile, her body shone and metallic sounds rang through the air. A layer of divine armor appeared on her body. She felt that she was truly angered beyond belief. She should have put on this divine armor a long time ago. However, right at this moment, the light of the green moon shone down from above, becoming more and more brilliant. There was a strange aura that pervaded the air. Shahao raised his head. This time, he truly became serious, and his brows frowned as he stared at that green moonlight. He was trying to figure out why this was happening, becoming dangerous. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.